Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome to another episode of KDM, which stands for Kit. Hi, Kit.
Hi,
Dimitri. Hi,
Petrie.
Kit. And movies. And that's what we do. Kit and Dimitri, myself, we talk movies
Ew.
and we break them down for you. We have a good time. We hope that you have a good time. First and foremost, thank you for joining. Kit, hello. It's been a minute.
Hi.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
a
joining.
hot minute. Yeah, I
It
know.
has
Next
been.
year,
Missed
next
you.
year will be better. Next year will
We've
be
missed you. I've missed you.
better. Me too.
Miss talk. I actually miss talking movies with you. I
I
really
know.
do. I was watch Twisters again,
You
and thought
too.
about how we shared. We saw that in beautiful IMAX, and I gotta tell you, I know we're not talking about Twisters today, but movie still holds up. Movie still
Yeah,
holds up
no,
very
it's not
well.
bad. It's not
Yep.
bad.
Very well. So, but
Okay.
today we've got another sequel that's
Yes.
taken about 24 years
Yep.
in the making, because Kit, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Here wasn't.
No, no, no. And this Rome, it took about 24 years. Of course, I'm talking about Gladiator 2.
Yes.
So that's what we will be discussing today. And as we always open up the show with our thoughts and opinions. So, Kit, what did you think of a Gladiator 2?
Well, I kind of had some expectations for this, so that's always not a good thing because then if they're not met, then you feel disappointed. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but it's definitely not the first one. So the first one, I guess in the telling of the story, it was so, it was just a great story from start to finish with Russell Crowe playing this soldier of Rome who just wants to go home and be a farmer with his wife and son, and but he keeps getting pulled back into it, because the emperor, played by Richard Harris, doesn't want to let him go and wants him to take over. And so anyway, we all know what ends up happening. His wife and son are killed, and he's put in slavery, and then he ends up becoming a gladiator and finally gets his revenge. And it's just it's beautifully shot. Really Scott, he still has that technique that makes action sequences, pretty spectacular to watch. That I did appreciate in this one as well. I thought some of the gladiator moments were pretty like they upped the ante in a way. Um, I mean, again, of course, we always like to say there are a bit of spoilers in this, so we will be spoiling a
Yes.
things here and there.
Yes, there are spoilers. Spoilers, because these shows air after the movie is open, and so you've been given the opportunity to watch the movie, listen to our discussion, and then be part of the discussion to tell us what you
Exactly.
think.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought the whole reenacting the sea battle in the in the arena was pretty amazing, where they filled the entire.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay.
Actually, that
Yeah.
happened. That's true. They
Not
did.
exactly like that yet. They
No,
did, but
maybe not
we'll go.
exactly like that, but
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
they
We'll
did
get
one
into
time.
that.
I read that
So
one time they
I
did this once.
I
And
specifically looked it up because it was
I
so
did too.
silly and stupid. I was like, God, did they do that? I go, because Ridley Scott doesn't seem to be a director that would do something so far-fetched. And it really wasn't far-fetched, except
Nope,
for the fact that that was far-fetched. But go ahead.
I didn't think so. I liked
Oh,
that sequence.
oh,
I
that
guess
I
well,
love.
I don't know what I'm gonna say to make say you're just gonna hate it, hate it.
I
Matter.
well, I groaned while I was watching it. But go ahead.
But anyway, so now Paul Mescal plays the grown-up Lucius, and he is he's trying to break away from his lineage, I guess. He just wants to be a normal guy, and but he too ends up becoming a soldier, and loses has a bit of tragedy in his life and ends up in the gladiator ring, of course. So and gets to reunite with his mother, played by Connie Nielsen again. She's actually beautiful woman. My God. I mean, how long has she been around? She looks amazing. Anyway, that
I
beside,
mean, all things considered, Rome has done well for her. They
yeah,
they they have
sure
some.
has.
It must
Well,
be
she's
the
played the game to
yes.
keep herself,
I say it's the
alive.
volcanic activity that has, given her that good youthful appearance. Yes, you're right. I agree.
So for me, I thought the story was not as strong. It was definitely a weaker story. I mean, Lucius, he has his he wants to get back at Pedro Pascal's character, who is also a soldier general in the army, but turns out, Pedro's character, I can't remember, Aurelius or whatever the hell his name is, um,
I,
isn't really near as bad as he thinks he is. The bad guy ends up being Denzel Washington, who plays sort of the what would you call his character? Um,
uh, I would call his character a politician. He's
yes, there we go.
Macronus. He is definitely an ambitious, manipulating, power grabbing politician.
Right,
Right.
right.
I would call him.
So yeah, so that was interesting. And then of course, Joseph Quinn, who I actually like as an actor. He and the other actor, they played the twin emperors, so actually that was true too. That was a
Yes.
real thing. Um, but for some reason, I felt like Joseph Quinn played that sort of, the emperor, kind of like a Caligula type emperor, all extravagance, all this, but he had this kind of really menacing look to him. I kind of liked what he did with the part. I mean, I kind of wished he were the one who ended up being at the end instead of the twin, who was just a foppish, fool kind of thing. I don't know. I liked Joseph Quinn. He kind of was not nearly as scary as Joaquin Phoenix, though. I mean, that was one of the scarier performances from the first film, and it got nominated for it. So,
Yeah.
clearly it was a good part. Anyway, so long story short, because this was a long movie, parts of it I enjoyed. I
You make me
liked
laugh.
I liked the some of the the gladiator sequences, but the story overall was just a little weak, too long, way too long, way too long. I just never ending, and it was definitely derivative. It didn't have a whole lot of originality to it, to separate it from the original, which clearly outshined it in my opinion. So I was about it. I wasn't necessarily like, oh, I hate this movie, get me the hell out of here, but I was definitely not like going, wow, this is great. So kind of middle of the road for me.
Well, like you, I had expectations. The trailers, got me hooked.
Right,
And I do like Gladiator.
right,
There was one thing that you I don't know whether intentionally or not, but um, there was a plot point you kind of left out that to me, I don't know. Uh, the entire movie itself for me was epically disappointing. They paid too much attention to Gladiator and not enough attention on the story at hand. They twisted themselves into knots to try to tie themselves into, and actually, that Lucius character, they actually said he was the son of Maximus, which
right.
I'm like, what? Like,
Oh no, but
right off
that
the
I watched, but see, I watched the original Gladiator, and
so
it's
didn't
implied in
I.
that.
I'm sorry, what? No,
It's
it's not.
implied.
No,
Yes,
I'm
it is.
sorry.
Yes,
No, it's
it
really
is.
no, it's you
Watch it
tell me this.
again.
I've just seen it like three times.
No, I'm
There's
telling you, it's implied.
when. You go ahead and tell me when.
When the two of them were together and talking. Yes,
Nope. Not
yes,
even close.
yep,
No, it's not. I've
yes.
just watched the movie. I watched
It
it
wasn't
today.
it wasn't surprising to me. I always thought he was his son.
Never thought he was the son.
Oh, I did.
Never. Well, that's silly because there's nothing in Gladiator that implies that he's
Watch
because
it
and here's what
again. I'm
I've
telling you.
watched it. I'm telling you, since Gladiator 2, I have watched number one, I had watched it that weekend, that Sunday after, and then it's been on cable like a ton of times. Keep on going back to it. Um, there's nothing in that movie that implies That is Maximus's son. Now, the other thing is, knowing Maximus for who he is definitely a man of honor. And when you think of the timelines of the things, he would have had to have stooped her the same time he had stooped his wife, because his son is coincidentally would be around the same age as Lucius is, which doesn't make sense considering he has never been to Rome. Never. He's never been to Rome. So that makes that kind of difficult for them to be together. I'm not saying that there wasn't something there, but to say that he's the son, that it makes zero sense.
It made
Also,
total sense to me.
it
Sorry.
does, but when you watch Gladiator, there
I
is
did. I
nothing
did.
in
I
there.
literally just watched it like
So,
last
that,
week.
so please tell me the scene in
The
which
scene where they're together in the cell and we knew they were lovers in the past, and he was seemed to be
wait, whoa, whoa,
very
whoa, 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 whoa,
connected to
stop.
the
When does that even happen?
what are
You
you
know
talking
that there's
about?
something. When does she go? I want you to explain this scene to me that implies that Lucius is his son.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying that they don't say it, but that
But
I
you
I
said they
gathered from
imply
their
it. But
conversation
you,
that he was. Why are
how?
we arguing over it? It doesn't matter.
Because it makes it that because again, I've heard this, and in the movie, it's a major plot point. It does not make sense.
Well, it
And if
makes
you were
sense
to
to me.
take,
So let's just move
but but
on.
but it doesn't make sense. And
It
if you're going to take,
does.
no, it doesn't. And you can't point to me where in the original Gladiator it's even remotely implied. And
Yeah,
the other thing,
I'm not going to argue with you about it because
because it
we
it
both had a
because
different
it also
interpretation about it.
no, it's not even, you can't interpret what's not there.
It
And my
is
other thing
there.
is, it's not, tell me where it is.
I told you where it was. When
What's the
she goes
scene and
into
how
the
is it implied?
cell, when she
Yep.
goes into the cell and they almost kiss, and they were you find out that they were together at one point in time back in when they were very young. And she ended up moving on and he ended up going to war. And I did it does never says, oh, he was your son. But in my head, from that close relationship, from that intimate scene that they had, I thought, ooh, I bet. And then at the end, when he's dying, he says, "Is Lucius okay?"
Because of that conversation where he says, my son is dead. And she says, I'm trying to keep my son alive
Right.
and safe.
I'm
That's
just saying
why he asked.
from that encounter in that little moment, not to say that I could confirm it for sure, but in my head I
Well,
thought, oh, I maybe Lucius was his son. I did.
to
I
me,
got it. I got
not
it.
it to me, not only does it not make sense, period, because the times then wouldn't match up. Also, at the end of Gladiator, she comes out, he dies. She stands up and gives this speech about a man's dream about Rome, right? And
That to be honest with you, that I didn't understand. I didn't understand why Lucius
you
had
know
to
where I'm
run
going,
away.
right? There's like,
It didn't seem
why?
like that was going to be happen. Looked like they were going to make Rome great again, kind of thing.
Right. And I'd rather have known why those two twins, how they became in power, which
Right.
we're just supposed to take that they came in power again. It's never really explained. And there's really no reason for Lucius to have been whisked off
Yeah, that
at
part
the
I didn't
end.
quite understand either. I didn't
And they
understand.
do this silly cliffhanger serial trope like, oh, but what you didn't see in Gladiator, and then they film this additional scene after he's dead and they're carting him off,
Yeah.
like this whole, and it's like, wait, what? No, you don't get to
Yeah, because
do
I mean,
that.
who would have killed him? I mean, the son
Right. And who
didn't.
would have wanted to?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
the only guy who would have killed him was Joaquin, and he was dead. So yeah, that part I didn't get either.
and and
But
and
the Lucius is
another,
his son thing, I was okay with that, and you were not.
yeah, and no, because it doesn't make sense. The other thing that bothered me is in Gladiator. I think what makes Gladiator such an excellent, fantastic movie is there's motivation under Maximus's part, right?
Mhm.
He is beloved by the Emperor, by
Right,
Richard Harris, right?
right,
And Marcus Aurelius. He's beloved by him, and Joaquin Phoenix, who plays I always forget. He plays Commodus.
Commodus, yes, yes, yes.
He's, you know, Marcus Aurelius loves him as a son, but not as a leader. He
Right,
doesn't trust that he'd be able to lead as well. Maximus knows pretty much that Commodus pretty much killed the father,
right,
and Commodus sets out to kill him, and he kills his family. He murders his family,
right,
which he finds it's a horrible scene. He goes into the slavery with the one idea of going to finally go to Rome, his first time at Rome, and
right,
it's a tale of revenge. Where in this movie, they try to make it tragic by killing Lucius's wife. So he goes off, he becomes a soldier, but
right,
he's not like a general or anything like that. He
right,
becomes a soldier. Rome is taking over where they're at. I forget the name of that battle. And his wife is killed in battle.
right,
Tragic, I get it, but it's not like she was murdered intentionally and wiped out. And when Lucius is now going after Pedro Pascal,
right.
it kind of doesn't have the same,
Oh,
it doesn't have the same gravitas or weight that Marcus Acacius, Pedro Pascal, who is conflicted about a lot of things going
yeah,
on, and it just doesn't resonate. And I just it and then when you talk about the battles, the monkey battle at the beginning,
yeah, that
it,
was intense.
see, I
Do monkeys
see it
really
to
look like
me.
that? They
Well,
look
that's what I was like. Who bred
monstrous to
monkeys and
me.
dogs? Yeah, and I just found the CGI to be. I found that the technology was not used as best as it could have been. Where the original Gladiator, which I'm sure there was some tech, there was tech in 2000, not as good as today. Today's it should have looked better.
Yeah,
And the battles in the original Gladiator, you could tell there really was a passion for the Ben-Hur's,
yeah,
the Spartacus movies, those sword and sandal movies.
yes.
It's there. A lot of it seemed to be very practical. And like, you watch that first main battle in the Colosseum, and I just wonder how long did it take to film that? Because the editing, setting up shots in this one, it felt so CG in that water battle.
I know. Well, I thought it was cool, but I guess I understand. It's a little over.
It reminded me, I've seen that water battle before, and it was at what was once called Treasure Island in Las Vegas. I was like, and sharks?
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
so where do they get shark? How do they? They're not near
Salt
water.
water.
I
Well, that's what I read is that they did in one time enact. This is in real.
yes,
They did one
yes,
time reenact a sea battle, and I guess they brought because Rome was right there on the water, or whatever, that they brought the water into so it would have been
yeah.
stronger. So
You and I read the same article, I'm sure, because I looked it up, going Ridley again.
yeah, well, actually, I came home from watching it, and I go, "Oh, there was this really elaborate battle with the sea, and they filled the Coliseum with water." And Steve goes, "That actually happened."
Oh, that see,
Oh,
you're lucky to have a smart. See, I'm not smart, so I had to look it up. But my thought process was just knowing our years of watching Ridley Scott movies, his certain attention to detail, especially when it's going to be historic. He wouldn't have done something just for the sake of doing it because it looked
right,
good on screen. So
right.
it made me look it up to say, did they ever fill the Colosseum up with water? And lo and behold, and there was a discussion going, nah, that couldn't happen. It couldn't happen. Oh, it happened.
It
Oh,
did. It did.
so I just wish it would done more believably.
Yeah, and you
Um,
know what? I love Paul Mescal. I think he's a fantastic actor. Normal People, if anyone has out there has ever seen that series, it's a limited series that's on Hulu with he and
yep.
Daisy Edgar Jones, who's another. it is one of the most poignant, sweet, sad, real relationship dramas between these two characters. And he's Irish, and she's English, but she plays Irish in this. Anyway, it is really one of the better.
Did
I
he
just
not win like an Emmy or
I think they
something?
both won something or were nominated.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Hmm.
um, I just and he's done some other really great little movies too. The one that he did a couple years ago about his taking his
Oh,
daughter on the vacation.
yes.
Oh my God, so good,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I just don't think he's suited for this. He just seemed a little miscast to me. I don't know about you. He did a good
Okay.
job. He did the best he could, but I just felt, I don't know.
If you okay, so I think of Gladiator 2. It's not in the same realm of Gladiator. To me, Gladiator 2 is just a sword and sandal popcorn movie. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. It's never anything better. Don't if you don't look at it as Gladiator and you're going in for entertainment and you
Yeah.
check your brain in at the door, you'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. I think for the purposes of a commercial popcorn movie,
Yeah.
not Gladiator,
Right.
because he's not Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe for Gladiator was at like the pinnacle, or he was reaching that pinnacle of his career. In his charisma, I believe that Maximus could win over the crowd. I felt that it was manufactured in Gladiator 2. I didn't believe that Paul Mescal's character, Lucius, could like get the crowd on his side.
Yeah.
But for Gladiator 2, if you're not expecting Gladiator
Then
and
you'll
just a
probably,
sword and sandal action movie, then you'll buy it.
yeah.
Denzel Washington, he too is fine. He gets a little over the top training day
Yes.
towards the end of the movie.
You know what? He's getting a little bit like that more and more for me as far as his,
Is he?
he's just, although we did like him in The Equalizer. So those he was okay. He
He's
doesn't seem
excellent in
to
the Equalizer.
he doesn't overdo it on those, but he tends to overdo it sometimes. Not
And
quite,
this
he's not quite on the level of Dustin Hoffman or Al Pacino, who,
no.
I'm sorry, in their later career, just what,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't even want to begin.
You don't want a
You know what? I've never
Dunkachino?
really, to be honest with you, this is just a throw at, I'm going to throw that at this out here. I've never really liked Dustin Hoffman. I just, I've never really liked him.
Fair.
I think he's always been overacting his whole career. I mean, I absolutely adore oh gosh, why am I blanking on his
Tootsie?
well no, he was
Uh,
great. But he kind of
Marathon
did
Man?
that. No,
Yeah.
well, I forgot about Marathon Man. He played it subdued in that one. No, the one the Mike Nichols movie. Why am I blanking?
Oh, you're not talking about the one he did with Warren Beatty?
No, no, the movie with Mrs. Robinson. What's the name of the movie?
Oh, that movie. Uh,
Why are
Mrs.
we
Robinson.
blanking?
I don't know because we're idiots right now and it's a
Oh
Friday,
my
the end
God.
of the day.
It's
No, it's
horrible.
seasonal. No,
It's
it's not horrible.
horrible.
It's
Why
not.
am I blanking? Oh,
Um
right. I think,
blanking
well,
too.
for me, I think since Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman's really gone downhill for me.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
Um he is known Kramer versus Kramer.
yeah.
He was a Midnight Cowboy.
Yes, that way he's
Um
great in that. Why are we talking about Dustin? Anyway,
well, because you brought him up as far
I
as
did,
like over the top and
did.
why can't I
Graduate, The Graduate.
the
Holy
graduate.
hell,
Thank you. Yeah.
my God. Anyway, long story
You
short,
could tell we didn't graduate from anything. No, she graduated. I'm a dummy.
Denzel, I feel can kind of go into that category a little bit, but I thought he was good in this. I thought he was over the top in this and better in like
Yeah.
Equalizer. But
Again, it's not
and
this
you know
kind of
what? We also have to
performance would have
remember that Gladiator won Best Picture. This
I
is one of
know.
those rare occasions where a movie comes out in June and
Yep,
ends up
May.
winning Best Picture.
A
That
hundred
doesn't happen
percent.
very
And
often.
no, and this movie is not going to be winning Best Picture. Again, they could have just called it they could have just called it Sword and Sandal or like fight movie or something, because the performance that
Oh,
Denzel Washington gives in this movie is not like would never is not would never be allowed in the first Gladiator movie. Say what you will about Joaquin, but Joaquin's performance was really chilling, and
yep,
he was just an evil, ambitious
yep,
boy. And when you lead up to that final fight, he cheats, he
yeah,
stabs him. Um, so it's very different. But Denzel wouldn't be allowed in Gladiator. It would have taken that movie down because it
yeah.
wouldn't have made sense.
Oh,
And in this movie, it fits because everything else seems to be so over the top,
yep.
and they didn't focus in on story. To me, the story would have been better. Like had let's say so at the end of Gladiator, right? Lucius is growing up and these twins are coming in to take power, and again Rome does not listen to Marcus Aurelius or Maximus, who are there behind, or to what's I'm trying to think what her name is. Oh,
Lucia, Lucia.
yeah, they didn't listen to her, and they nominate these two bozos to come in. And Lucius says, "You know what? I'm out of here. Instead, I am the guy inspired by a dream, inspired by a gladiator. I cannot, this is not the dream of Rome. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go somewhere more noble and I'm going to fight a noble fight." And, he gets married. To me, that's a better story of him coming back to Rome to try to see that dream come true.
Right.
Go out, get some life experience. Don't tie yourselves into knots trying to make it look like he's a son and whatever, and he does all the. They said the name Maximus so many times in Gladiator 2. I had thought he was going to come back from the dead. I'm like, like they made sure that you did not forget Gladiator. That to me too was another problem with this movie, that it never had its own identity.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't. The
It was
story was so,
overshadowed.
yeah. It was overshadowed. You're right.
It was
I mean,
overshadowed.
the first movie was had a perfect story, it had a great story, and
Perfect
it
story.
was a story that we all could relate to and and get involved with because we wanted him to find justice for, because the killing of his wife and son is horrific, and you're just like, oh, and this poor guy, and yeah, and walking's so bad, and I
So
mean,
bad.
yes, it was like a perfect. I mean, it was definitely still sword and sandals and whatnot, and that was fine
Absolutely.
with me. I
Fine.
like those kinds of movies. And that's one of the parts of this second one I did enjoy, some of that. Like you said, the popcorn part of it. I'm a bit of a popcorn person, but the rest of it, like, see, for you, you might like maybe one part of it, but the rest of it's so irritating to you that you just can't. Yeah,
It it's hard for me on a narrative when the writing is so lazy,
yeah.
that's troublesome. When the special effects, like when the guy comes out on a rhinoceros, I was like, okay, this looks like it's Attack of the Clones. Like
Yeah.
a
Like I said, they
rhinoceros,
did
who
sort of
the
up the ante on the on the battles with the
and
monkeys
you
and the
know
rhinos and the
and the way
sharks.
I look at it is when you look at movies of the past, say like a Spartacus, right? Or like a Ben-Hur, like the chariot scene is still a go-to, right? And even in Gladiator, where a lot of it seemed to have been done practically, and they were brutal fights too,
Yeah.
by the way. They were
Oh
very
yeah.
brutal. Yeah, it's a different movie. They just should have called it something else. Or if you're gonna say Gladiator 2, pay a little bit more attention, write your character stronger. I did not have a problem with Paul Mescal, as other people have also said that he was miscast. I say he's perfect for this movie because this movie is not Gladiator.
Right.
He's perfect for this because it's don't even put it in the same conversation. This is just for
Yeah, I
pure.
just don't see him. He like I said, he did a good job. I mean, he looked great. He looked the part. He definitely, had the muscles and the brawn and everything. But
Mm.
I just feel like as an actor, he's better suited in more of the soulful, um, I don't see him as an action star. And so I'm hoping he's not going to try to go that way because I just don't think that's his, sometimes you just can't do everything, right? So I just
Right.
action star.
And who is the other gentleman that we talked to is one of the twins? Um,
Joseph Quinn.
Joseph Quinn, who we talked about him already this year. We absolutely loved In a Quiet Place Day One.
Yes.
I mean, he was that performance is night and day. Far
But do
better.
you agree with me? Like when the two actors were playing the twin parts, you could just see Joseph Quinn is just that much better of an actor,
Yes, what 100%. I
just
could
in the
see
looks
that.
that he would do and the gestures
His
that
eyes, yes.
yes,
But I'll tell you something very fascinating. At the screening that I went to, there was a Q&A after the movie.
right.
Denzel Washington was there, and he was sitting next to um the man that played I want to make sure that I have his name correctly. He was sitting next to the other twin.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
So he was sitting next to Fred Hetchinger, who played Emperor Caracalla.
Right.
Okay. Throughout the entire Q&A, Denzel kept on like pointing over to him, going, this guy's great. This guy is awesome. This guy's great. Now, Quinn was unable to attend this, so he took some shots,
Ah,
which I get it. It was all in good fun, right? Although the moderator, I got to be honest, the moderator had, you know, it's hard for me to call. I guess it's difficult to call Paul Mescal at this point like an up and comer, considering he's been nominated for an Oscar, he's won an Emmy, I believe, and he's gotten awards, he's gotten accolades. He's not exactly an up and comer. He's not exactly Fred Hetchinger, who I believe would be an up and comer, but
yes.
Denzel had nothing but praises
Well,
for
I mean,
him.
he played the part that he was supposed to play. I don't know. There's times when I watch an actor and they could be in the worst role or the worst movie ever, and you can just see them. Case in point, I always bring this up because I honestly believe this. Valley
Yeah,
Girl. Valley Girl.
sure. Oh, okay. Love
Nicolas
Valley Girl.
Cage, you could just tell from his performance he was a great actor. I mean,
Yes.
that movie's so bad and everyone around him is just, so silly, but I just said, wow, he's good,
Yeah.
and also the other one is Brendan Fraser for what
Encino Man wasn't
Encino
he?
Man. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Again. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And so I got a little bit of that feeling with the joke in this. Although we know
Yeah.
he's a pretty good actor, I'm just saying that there was just something a little bit better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, Joseph Quinn, we see him in Stranger Things, but for me, when I watched him in A Quiet Place day one, and I saw what he pulled off in that lounge, I was like, yes, this is a guy to watch. Like, he's got a career ahead of him. He's a fantastic actor. He did, I believe, same as you, he kind of outshined
Yes.
the other person until he wasn't able to. Let's just say,
Yes.
um,
I was like, oh,
Pedro,
I went
yeah, Pedro,
darn.
yeah, Pedro Pascal was fine.
Yeah,
He's fine. He wasn't
this was
nobody
not
in
this was not his movie to be. Yeah,
right.
he was just
Nobody in this movie to me sucked.
no,
Like I can't. Nobody sucked.
no.
Everybody was there. The movie, from a tech standpoint, there was some great cinematography, some great, some great scenes, shots. Great. Give it that. Ultimately, 1 through 5. What do you give this movie?
I'd probably give it 3, just because
Yeah, I mean,
I think I liked some of the action stuff a little bit more, but Um, you know, three is pushing it though. It was again, it was too long. I was like, when that final thing, it's like, okay, he's got to give I call them the Henry V speeches where they rallying the troops and you know,
Yeah,
the Braveheart speech. Braveheart and Henry V.
yeah.
But
I
yeah, so
Well,
three.
you'll be surprised because I kind of give it a 3 too. I mean, if I look at it as a popcorn movie, it works, but I can't compare it to Gladiator. For me, the writing is very, very lazy, and some of those scenes or technology should look better than what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't find that the battle scenes are any more engaging, even though they up the ante, as you said, and they do. They weren't as great as in Gladiator. And the
You
ascension of
also
Maximus.
you also had the character in the first Gladiator. I'm gonna Dime Hansu Daijin
Oh,
Han.
Desmond Hansu's
Yes.
character. Yep. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. No, he was fantastic. You had a great Oliver Reed who played Proximos
Yes.
too. I mean, you had a very good cast there too.
Yeah.
Everything came together well. There was a reason why Gladiator won Best Picture, and I have to be honest with you, I wish more pictures like Gladiator would win Best Picture
I know.
because it really connects more with the audience. Because that movie, it's a very good movie, but it connected with audiences.
Yeah.
They saw it through the summer, and you make a very awesome point in that this is a movie that came out like in the summer of that year and the beginning of the summer, and yet it lasted long enough
Yep.
that it was not forgotten. And that to me, I wish that there were more. I wish the Academy would look at more commercial, like
Well, don't we
spectacle
all? I mean,
spectacular.
that was one of the last ones really to win to win.
Well, I, I
Right.
I think I would love because I think the next movie we're gonna do could be just that thing. It could
Three.
be just that movie. So we will talk about that movie at a little bit later of the time, and I think you'll have a wicked good time.
Make a good
Being
time.
a wicked good time as part of that discussion. What?
Popular. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So
So
we'll definitely reconvene next week and
yes.
review Wicked.
Yeah, that'll be great. It's
Wicked.
always great talking movies with you, even though
It's
it wasn't the
funny.
sun. Hey,
Okay.
but it's great talking.
Well, he was his son.
Let we will, you know what? We will talk about that over Mai Tais
Okay.
sometime very
No,
soon.
I'm done. I'm done arguing with you. You know what?
Oh no, no, no.
I've learned this about you, Mr. D. I cannot, I literally, when you have your mindset on something, I can't
Oh,
change.
it can be no, no. See no, no. Throughout the history, especially movies, if you can show no, no, no. Seriously, I kid you not. But we all can change our minds about movies. I'm sure
Yeah,
there are movies when you saw as a kid, or maybe even in college, that you, ugh, and then when you grew up and you said, you know what, I'm going to give it a rewatch, and maybe because more life experience in you, or your history of movies grew, you
yeah.
go. I might have been a little bit hard on that, or you know what, that person was right on that.
Or how
If you
about,
can
oh my
find
God,
a
I can't believe I liked this movie.
oh, oh, that
More
happens a
often
lot.
than not.
But you know about those movies, I still keep them in my heart because there's that pang of nostalgia
No.
that movies resonate the same as music does for a lot of people, even if it's not a good song, right? For whatever reason, it could resonate with you because it sank in when you were a young kid. A lot of those Disney movies, live
Yeah,
actions.
love them, love them.
So, and I still love them to this day. So there we go. Can't wait to have those Mai
Yes,
Tais with you and maybe
yes.
some
Well,
Masubi
next
sliders.
week
All right.
we'll do it. So
All
join us
right.
then, guys. We'll have another edition for this, and let us know what you
Can't
think
wait.
of Gladiator too.
And yeah, and since we
Hello,
are coming into that week, if we don't
hello.
get to talk, yeah, and maybe we have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
eat a lot.
We'll talk before
Please,
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
oh, well, hopefully so.
Yeah.
That would be great. Please like, subscribe, and comment. What did you think of Gladiator 2?
Yes.
So, and again, just tell me where to watch Gladiator where it's implied that it's his son. That's all I want to know. I just want to know how it's
Gave
implied,
it to
where
you
it's, but I
already.
want
Let's watch it together and I'll show you what I see and you can tell me what you
that's, I know what I see. He was tied in shackles and there's
Mm.
nothing there. Anyway, and it doesn't make sense in a timeline. But anyways, you can go on and believe what you want to believe.
And you
That's
can
fine.
too.
But I don't believe.
All right.
But I believe
We're
in
gonna
you,
hang
Kit.
up now. We're gonna hang
But
up.
no, I believe in you, Kit. I
I
really
believe in
do.
you.
I hope, thank you. I hope you have a great time. Can't wait to talk to you. Can't wait to do our next movie
Yeah,
together.
I'm
And
looking.
thank you so much for tuning into our conversation and listening to us go on. Thank you very much. It means a lot to both of us, more than you know. And we appreciate you. Take care, all.
Bye
Bye.
bye.